Where's Pancakes House?
What?
We stop at Pancakes House.
Thanks for checking out this extremely late edition of Pancakes House, Episode 5. Mr. House's hard drive crashed. So let's start with some word association. I'll say something, and then you say whatever pops into your head first. Okay? Are you ready? Jar Jar Binks. Okay, so I'm thinking that you either had obnoxious or annoying. Well, what if I said Master Sith Lord? You'd be like, what? Are you crazy? Well, I'll tell you. The Phantom Menace introduced all of us to the character of Jar Jar Binks. He was branded a marketing ploy to sell more toys and subsequently written out of most of the following two films. This rewrite, and it was a rewrite, came from backlash of fans who proclaimed that Jar Jar was a franchise-ruining character. Imagine if people had said the same about Yoda. He could have been easily branded as a cheap, cute marketing gimmick as well. So, what does the Phantom Menace actually mean anyway? Who's the Phantom? Who's the Ghost? It's not Darth Maul, that's for sure. He was all over the marketing material for the film. There was no way Darth Maul is a Phantom. Was it supposed to be Anakin? I mean, aka young Darth Vader? No fucking way! We know who he becomes. He's not a Phantom Menace. He's a known menace. So, where does that leave us? How many options do we have left? Well, one of those options is Jar Jar Binks. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but he seems to fit the criteria. Nobody would ever expect Jar Jar to end up in a seat on the Senate close to all of those in power of the entire galaxy. But how? Why? If that's the case, why was he written out of the rest of the films? Unfortunately, the answer is really fan service. It's beyond unfortunate, since Jar Jar was actually supposed to be the mirror Yoda for young Anakin, Darth Vader. Let's take a look at all the proof that we have to back up this claim. When we first meet Jar Jar, he's flustered and he's forced on the run. When the situation finally does calm down, we see Jar Jar kip up, which is an extremely advanced martial arts maneuver requiring a ton of strength and skill. It completely conflicts with the narrative that we're delivered about Jar Jar. We're meant to believe that Double J is some kind of inept moron who can barely manage one foot in front of the other as he walks. Now, if that's so, why is he kipping up from a supine position in the same way that a martial artist might? Also, what exactly did Jar Jar do that had him banished from his homeland? We never find out exactly what that was, but it really does seem that Jar Jar was up to some extremely shady shit before he ran into the Jedi. If you're following along at home, check out the 13-minute mark, where Jar Jar Binks leaps about 20 feet in the air and performs a perfect, twisting dive into a lake. So you're trying to tell me now that a clumsy dolt can not only kip up, but perform amazing feats of acrobatics as well? Again, we're only 13 minutes into this film, and already the audience is being shown clues of Jar Jar's deception. Once everyone arrives in Jar Jar's hometown, his own people even cuff him, while they leave Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon uncuffed, which kind of implies that Jar Jar is actually a greater threat to them than the Jedi. They're even more than happy to rebanish him when he leaves. So that was around the 14-minute mark. Now, let's fast forward to about the 22-minute mark, and we find the Jedi and Jar Jar hiding as droids approach. At exactly 22:43, watch Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan descend from the balcony they were on while Jar Jar pretends to goof up his jump. It's a quick cut, and you might not notice it, but Jar Jar twists and hangs onto the balcony while Obi and Qui-Gon engage the droid guards. He then seemingly executes an off-camera force jump to avoid the attack altogether and land unscathed. Was this on purpose? I have to assume so. This very same character, just minutes later, is portrayed as an extremely clumsy idiot who steps in a hot pile of completely avoidable tauntaun shit. Check out the timestamp at 44:32. Look at Jar Jar's mouth as the line, well, I don't approve is delivered. Jar Jar's mouth 100% makes the same exact motions. It's absolutely apparent in the oov of approve. Look at his lips! He's using the Force! Why would a CGI engineer choose to animate his mouth in that fashion? This is obviously artistic direction to further a more sinister narrative. Next up for the grand illusion, Jar Jar gets his arm stuck in a pod racer, a character who can kip up and avoid blaster rounds, perform 20-foot-high twisting dives, and seemingly control people's minds. Oops, I got stuck. Look at just how much time and money is dedicated to Jar Jar in this movie. He is featured in a ton of scenes. Now, don't forget, this film was released in 1999. CGI costs a fortune now. Can you imagine back then? Why would you spend millions of dollars in CGI for Jar Jar Binks and dedicate the majority of the film to him if he's just not that important? Jar Jar even suggests that the Queen is, quote, pretty hot to young Anakin, planting that seed of lust. There's also plenty of cutaways to Jar Jar for no other reason than simply to alert you of his presence. I mean, think about this on a screenplay level. That shot was inserted for a reason. In that screenplay, it said cut to Jar Jar. The writer wanted us to be reminded of Jar Jar's presence during these certain vital scenes. Jar Jar is later credited with bringing the two sides together, and he's promoted to general. Fast forward now to 1 hour 53:30, when Jar Jar uses a wrecked droid to take out two others perfectly. 2 for 2. 2 shots. Now, we're 2 hours into this movie. Who the fuck is the Phantom Menace? Jar Jar is given a boomer, which he accidentally fumbles, and oh, you know what? Takes out a droid. Check out Jar Jar, quote, sloshing, which implies a training in drunken boxing. Here's a clip from the film, and here's actual implementations of drunken boxing techniques. There's no way anybody can say that Jar Jar wasn't a very, very extremely skilled user of the Force. Now, towards the end, observe Jar Jar's positioning at Qui-Gong's funeral. Look who's in that shot. It's the Queen, Anakin, R2-D2, and Jar Jar. Jar Jar found himself in a ridiculous position of power, and that was the entire plan from the start. From this moment on, Jar Jar has a super high seat on the Senate. That's no mistake. Jar Jar has been positioning himself there for the entire film. It was part of a master plan. Guess what? Jar Jar Binks is the Phantom Menace. Or at least he would have been, if not for the consuming public acting as artistic director over an entire rebooted franchise. I have to blame the public. I say they're at fault here for not seeing the depth and importance of Jar Jar Binks, and in turn, totally and completely altered the course of Star Wars. That's the internet for you. A few haters, and George Lucas himself rewrites the entire trilogy, despite his own genuine vision. So what happens? The film debuts, and Jar Jar is branded as basically a cheap nothing character invented for no other purpose than to sell toys and Happy Meals, when clearly, none of that's true. Binks was supposed to be the Yoda for Anakin. Binks is so obviously the Phantom Menace, or at least he was supposed to be, until crying and complaining Star Wars fanboys didn't like him, and George Lucas caved into fan service instead of following his original vision. And for that, Lucas loses all respect from me.
You are a crazy-ass son of a bitch. You are a no-good bastard. You are full of bullshit. You can pucker up and kiss my ass goodbye. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks. You are a crazy jackass. You are a stupid asshole. You are an evil asshole. You are a stupid low-life fool. Jar Jar Binks, Jar Jar Binks, Jar Jar Binks, Jar Jar Binks.